Hello there everybody. Jacob Rees-Mogg has done it again. He has invited somebody onto his programme who knows far more about the subject at hand than he does, and has made himself look like an almighty fool. Now we've seen this before on previous videos. Behind the posh voice, and behind the greasy hair, and behind the stupid suit, there is nothing. Just a skull full of gunge. On this occasion, the subject matter was the illegal migration bill. And Jacob Rees-Mogg decided to invite Geoffrey Robertson, a human rights lawyer, onto the show for a debate. And it went about as well as you can imagine. Oh, dearie me, can this man make himself look any more stupid? Let's take a look.
We've got the link working, so we can be joined by the very distinguished human rights lawyer, Geoffrey Robertson. Geoffrey Robertson, thank you for joining us. You're concerned about the human rights of asylum seekers and feel that we shouldn't be taking this approach of housing them in barracks and so on.
Well, housing them in barges takes us back 200 years to where we put undesirables in hulks on the Thames and deported them to Botany Bay. And I think that Dickensian and cruel transportation has ended. We now want to transport them to Rwanda. But the problem with the government's bill from international law perspective is that it plans to abolish the right, and it's a very important right, of asylum seekers to apply in any country where they end up for asylum because they have a well-founded fear of persecution.
But they don't have a right, though, do they? They don't have a right to apply once they've been in a safe country. So their right is in France or a country before that, not here.
Before the expert answers, even I know the answer to this question, and I'm almost certain it's one of the most common talking points that comes up regarding migrants. Well, why did they not stay in France? Why did they not stay in Germany? Why did they not stay in Spain? Why did they not stay in Algeria? Why did they not stay in Morocco? Blah, 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 right? The 1951 Refugee Convention says nothing about refugees settling in the first safe country they reach. That is the answer to the question. Even I know it. I'm not going to tell you what I do for a living, right? But trust me, I'm an idiot. And even I know this. So I'm certain Jacob Rees-Mogg knows the answer to that question. But anyway.
Well, they do, according to the UNHCR, which is in charge of refugees, and there are 27 million in the world today. And certainly...
But that's not what we signed up to. We signed up to people claiming asylum in the first safe country.
No, they have a right at any point to claim asylum. And this is what the Australians, for all the criticism of that policy, did actually do. They processed those people, and those who were found to be genuine refugees and not economic migrants. Many of them were taken by New Zealand, where they've done very well, others by America. So even the Australians processed. We are going to abolish processing. We're going to abolish the right to claim asylum, which is a precious right.
Well, they'll be able to claim asylum in Rwanda. So they will be able to claim asylum, just not in the UK. That seems perfectly reasonable protection of our borders.
And that's a breach of our duty under international law, according to the United Nations, and my view of it as well, that they do have a right to claim asylum, which we should not abolish. But we're going to put them in.
But it's not the view. It's not the view of the Attorney General, who has signed off the bill as being in accordance with our legal obligations, because every bill has to be signed off by the Attorney General before it can be introduced.
International lawyer, and she's wrong, as she.
Just in case you missed that, because they were talking over each other, Geoffrey Robertson said the Attorney General is not a distinguished international lawyer. To which Jacob Rees-Mogg, his look of disdain, and he's very casually shaking his head, throughout this entire exchange is Jacob there. He has absolutely no respect for what this human rights lawyer is saying. Not a jot.
Partly admitted clearly wrong. And so we face the situation and
but this is a key issue then. Lawyers disagree, and there isn't a court that has established this. So a very distinguished lawyer, the Attorney General, takes one view and you take another. To say the law says isn't really accurate, is it?
Distinguished, but that, of course, remains to be seen.
Well, you don't think she's distinguished because she doesn't agree with you. I don't think Baroness Hale's very distinguished because she didn't agree with me on prorogation.
You see how passively aggressive he gets? This big grin enters his face when he knows he's being humiliated, and he comes out with a load of rubbish. So he says there he didn't agree with Baroness Hales on prorogation. Well, I'm sorry, Jacob, you aren't a lawyer. You read history. You just said lawyers disagree, and then cited yourself. You are not a lawyer.
Hey, of course it will be decided by the courts. The policy will be under fire in the courts, and we will find out. But already Mr. Putin is calling us hypocrite for running international law against him. Our soft power depends on the fact that we are a country that abides by international law.
Such an important point that often goes unnoticed. If we aren't abiding by international law, how the hell can we say to Vladimir Putin, you're not abiding by international law? It's a complete farce, and we undermine ourselves at every turn.
So that's a real question mark, I think, for Parliament. As for the problem of housing, we have a duty to not to put these poor people in 4 or 5-star hotels, but to accommodate them with humanity. And that doesn't...
Well, on that point, I absolutely agree with you. I always think people should be housed with humanity. So we can finish on a point of agreement. But thank you so much for joining me in battling through the technological problems. I'm very grateful to my brilliant panel, who I hope will come again next week.
Cut him off, why don't you, Jacob? Not going well, was it? I don't know if you caught what he was saying before he was cut off there by Jacob Rees-Mogg, but he was saying what would be really humane is if we allowed them to work. If we allowed migrants to work. You see this face here? This is Lloyd Russell Moyle, Labour MP. This face here, again, speaks for us all, doesn't it? The smug sense of satisfaction when you see someone unravelling in front of you. Someone as ridiculous as Jacob Rees-Mogg. I have nothing really to add. I'm sure you can comment for yourself how how badly that went for Jacob. Again, just to reiterate, lawyers disagree. And then, I disagree with Baroness Hales over prorogation. The man who read history. The man from history who read history at university. Embarrassing. Oh, how are people still falling for this? Take care. Bye.